every nation tells a story. Some stretch back thousands of years, stories of emperors, invasions, and revolutions. Others are still writing their first chapters. Why does China build with the patience of dynasties? Why does Russia act like an empire that never ended? Why does America, young, restless, ambitious, keep trying to remake the future? This isn't just history. This is identity. This is strategy. This is power. In this short documentary, we'll explore how time itself, how memory, trauma, and myth drives nations to behave, and why understanding the past might be the only way to make sense of what's happening now. In the tapestry of global civilizations, some nations stand out not just for their current might but for the weight of their history. These old nations, with millennia of legacy, carry a sense of identity deeply rooted in their past. China, with over 3,000 years of continuous civilization, sees itself as the Middle Kingdom, a central force in world affairs. This self perception is not merely historical, it actively shapes China's modern policies and global ambitions. Russia, too, bears the imprint of a vast empire. From the Tsardom to the Soviet Union, Russia's historical narrative is one of resilience and resurgence. The collective memory of past glories influences its contemporary quest for influence and respect on the world stage. China's civilization spans over 5,000 years, marked by periods of unity and fragmentation, prosperity and turmoil. This deep historical consciousness informs its contemporary national identity and aspirations. The century of humiliation, used to describe the period from the mid 1800s to the end of the 1900s when China faced subjugation by foreign powers, remains a pivotal chapter in its collective memory. Events like the Opium Wars and the imposition of unequal treaties are not just historical footnotes, but foundational to China's modern worldview. In response to these historical traumas, China's leadership has emphasized national rejuvenation. President Jinping's China Dream encapsulates this vision, aiming to restore China's rightful place as a global power. The Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, is a cornerstone of this strategy. By investing in infrastructure projects across continents, China seeks to revive the ancient Silk Road spirit, fostering economic ties and extending its influence. Through these endeavors, China is not merely pursuing economic growth, but is also reasserting its historical significance and addressing past humiliations by positioning itself as a central player in global affairs. Russia's identity is a tapestry woven with imperial ambition, revolutionary upheaval, and post Soviet trauma. The Tsardom of Russia grew into an empire spanning 11 time zones. After the 1917 revolution, the Soviet Union replaced the monarchy, becoming a global superpower. The collapse of the USSR in 1991 was not just a political failure, it was a profound identity crisis. Millions found themselves citizens of new countries overnight, and Russia's influence rapidly shrank. Today, under Vladimir Putin, Russia's leadership frames its actions as a defense of historical destiny. From the annexation of Crimea to interventions in Eastern Europe, Russia moves with the belief that it must restore lost pride and protect what it sees as its rightful sphere of influence. For Russia, history isn't simply remembered, it is relived. Unlike the ancient civilizations of China or Russia, the United States is barely over 2 centuries old. It was born not out of ancient bloodlines, but revolutionary ideals: liberty, democracy, opportunity. In young nations, there's a sense that the future is unwritten, that destiny is something you can build, rather than something inherited. But with youth also comes naivety, overconfidence, a tendency to underestimate the deep historical forces that older civilizations know by heart. The United States defined itself by looking forward. From manifest destiny to the moon landing, America's story has been one of constant expansion and ambition. After World War II, the US reshaped the world, founding institutions like NATO, promoting democracy, and leading global economic recovery through the Marshall Plan. Yet America's youth has also led it into costly errors: Vietnam, Iraq, and the sometimes naive assumption that all nations share the same dreams. History is rarely clean. Some ancient nations, like Japan, reinvent themselves with startling speed, behaving more like young nations after catastrophe. Meanwhile, young nations like those in post colonial Africa often carry wounds as deep and lasting as any ancient powers. Age matters, but memory matters more. The stories nations tell themselves of glory, of trauma, of destiny shape their actions far more than mere numbers on a timeline. The youngest nations move with reckless freedom, but find themselves haunted by histories they cannot yet see. The oldest civilizations carry the memories of glories and humiliations that still burn today. As the world grows older, one question remains: will we be prisoners of our past or the authors of something new?